Hello, this is Nicole Bandis with another episode of Delegate This. And today we're going to be talking contracts. I know it's like almost like taxes when we think about these kind of things. Like, oh my gosh, no, do we really have to talk about legal stuff? And I promise, I do not play a lawyer on TV, and that's why I'm bringing the expert today to talk to us all about getting somebody else to do the contract work. Because let's be honest, you can go to like these legal document places and find stuff, but is it really going to hold up in the court of law? That's what it comes down to, because it's not just a warm fuzzy that you should have that piece of paper that says, yes, we agree to these. There's a reason that we have them. And that's why I brought Nancy on today. So Nancy, thanks for being here. Tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
So thanks for having me on, Nicole. I'm Attorney Nancy Greene, and what I do is I provide business solutions to help detect and avoid hidden legal landmines in your business. So I work with companies from cradle to grave, so from the startup people to more advanced companies to when we're looking to transition out and sell the company and get the value you've built in your company out of it. And I work on all aspects of it, and I love it.
Yeah. So give us some examples of types of things that you might do for a business owner.
So a lot of what I do for businesses is really take the steps to keep them out of litigation. So we go through their contracts and make sure that all those key relationships are properly documented. So if you have a partner in your business, right, there's more than one owner, we make sure that there's an agreement between them as to what happens. I make them ask the uncomfortable questions like, what happens when one of us dies, and do we really want our friends' children to be our business partners, right? All those uncomfortable questions, when they come from me as the lawyer, it's a whole lot less threatening, argumentative, hostile, right? Because I'm making you think about the things you don't want to do, right? If you just simply don't get along anymore. No one likes to contemplate that, but that's my job, is to put a light on all those unpleasant issues.
Yeah. And, my clientele, I work a lot with coaches and speakers. And a couple of the contracts that have kind of come up in my world lately. One are the privacy policies and terms and conditions on websites, GDPR kind of thing. And the other is contracts with your clients. I mean, I know a lot of people think, oh, well, it's just a nice, warm, fuzzy relationship. But if a client has paid a bunch of money and now all of a sudden they want a refund because they didn't get what they thought they were supposed to get out of the coaching program, I've actually had a client that just the heartache alone that she went through dealing with this, it was time consuming emotionally, mentally. I mean, just not even to consider the financial aspect of that.
Right. So do you want to know a lawyer's secret?
Yeah.
One of the best ways to make customers, clients, especially in your coaching business, a raving fan, a clear written contract. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that means saying what you're not going to do for that client, right? If you're doing a coaching contract, your coaching contract better say you don't guarantee results because they control them, right? Whether or not the fees are refundable, what happens if they drop out, how you get out if the client's just not listening to you, right? But by setting up those expectations up front, you can go back and say, no, look, these are our calls, this is what you agreed to. And you can then show where you've over-delivered, right? Stuff that's outside the contract. And when there's a dispute, you can go back to the language and say, this is what we agreed to. I understand you thought this, but this is actually what you agreed to. So your contracts are like one of the first and best places to make clients into raving fans.
Yeah, I love that. And to me, it speaks of a higher level of professionalism. When you have that document that you can show somebody and say, this is what you're going to sign on the dotted line in order to work with me, it's a more professional level than just somebody that's going to take your money and say, okay, let's start working together.
Exactly. And it gives you a whole lot more confidence when a potential client says, well, let me see your contract. And you're not like, can I get back to you in 2 days?
Right.
You want to be ready with that, right? Because you want that polished, there's a lot of noise out there. There are a lot of people that do what you do regardless of what you do. So the more you can stand out, the more you can look professional, the more you can explain what's going on, the better for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, on this show, on Delegate This, we talk a lot about how delegating certain aspects, such as the legal pieces of our business, saves us time and money. So tell me a little bit about that. How do you save your clients time and money?
Okay, so first, law is not an area where do-it-yourself is really advisable, right? I spend all sorts of time, energy, and resources staying up to date on the law that a person running their business doesn't have. But the reason you want to delegate it to someone and not a forms bank, right, is you're relying on my experience, that person's experience, to know what types of clauses you need, what types of contracts you need, and the money you spend with the lawyer up front saves you 4 or 5 times, 10 times, both in money, right? So now there's litigation because you did it on a handshake. Right now you've lost time, you've lost money in legal fees, you've lost energy, and lawyers save you all of that time, energy, and money. We're sort of insurance policies for your business. So it is absolutely worth it. You're going to pay one way or another, up front or much more on the back end.
Right. Yeah. I tend to use analogies a lot. And the one that's kind of coming to mind here is, it's like walking into a store and there's one size item for everything, all of the clothing that you're going to wear. There's one size dress, one size shirt, one size pair of shoes. And if you go to some of these legal document prep services, that's what you're getting. You're getting that one size fits all approach. And odds are there might be one person that fits, but for the vast majority of the rest of us, that's just not a good fit. And it's not going to hold up when we really need it to.
Right, and one of the bigger problems is, you'll go out as a business owner saying, I know I'm talking business with someone, so I heard I should get a non-disclosure agreement. Well, okay, that may only be part of what you need though, right? Non-disclosure is don't talk about my business or don't talk about what I'm doing. It doesn't prevent that person from doing it themselves, right? So in the right situations, you might need another provision that says, don't do it without me, and that's a non-circumvention. But you as the consumer trying to find it DIY, don't know what you're looking for. And some of those forms a lot of them are either California or New York law. They may or may not meet your state's laws. They may or may not meet what your business actually needs. And you don't have that ability to flex with them and get them customized to yourself, right? You don't want off the rack for legal services.
Yeah, I totally can see that. And that, we've talked about that and a few other things about mistakes that business owners can make. What's another mistake that you see them often making when they're trying to DIY their own legal stuff?
Misclassifying their workers is a big mistake. You'll see a lot of people call people doing work for them independent contractors, and they're not when you actually dig into what that means. The other place that people make a big mistake is when they're actually using an independent contractor. They don't understand that contractor owns whatever they're creating unless there's a written agreement that says you as the person purchasing their time to make it own it.
Yeah.
So I've had people come back and they've had, show logos done and they're now using it on their Facebook page, and their designer wrote and said, hey, that's not what you bought it for. You can't use it. And the show designer was right. So my friend had to buy her logo twice.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Scary. I know. I see it, given the business that I'm in, I see a lot of times when people will come to me and say they've, the one that I hear a lot is, I got halfway into a website and they were redoing the website for me, and then they demanded more money and I didn't have access to my own website. And I'm like, did you have a contract in place? Well, no, it was a friend of mine. I just trusted them to do the right thing.
Right.
I'm like, there's a reason I don't lend money to friends.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot of when there's a pre-existing relationship, you kind of feel guilty. It's like, can you please put this in writing? And you feel like you're being disloyal or you're pre-accusing them of doing something bad. And the reality is you're just being a professional, and your friend also should be a professional, because people will get blocked out of their own websites, or they'll have the web designer buy the domain name, but then nothing requires the web designer to give the domain name over. So now they stop services. It's like, great, you had the best perfect website for your company, but you don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so scary. I mean, there's so much like that out there. And I always say, if you ever watch Judge Judy, you will never do that. You learn not to trust family and friends. Not that that's always a good thing, but in this situation, it probably is. So what's something else that people who are delegating their legal issues should know when they are looking to hire someone?
So when you're looking to hire someone, make sure they know the area of law you want them to be in. So don't hire your friend's divorce attorney to do your business paperwork, right? Don't hire me, for example, to do your tax stuff. I'm not a tax lawyer. I don't play one on TV, right? So make sure the person, very few lawyers are general practitioners anymore. The law is too big, right? We niche down ourselves because you have to keep up to speed in your area of law. So make sure the person you're hiring does the area of law you want and need. And make sure there's a fit, because it's not just, can they do this for me? It's personality-wise, mindset-wise, are they the type of person I want to do business with? And can I communicate with them? If I pick up the phone and ask them the question, are they going to make me feel stupid? Well, don't hire that lawyer, right? So make sure it's a relationship that you can have those discussions with, because it's a relationship, right? Skill's one thing, but personality matters a lot too.
Yeah, absolutely. And so this is a question that just kind of came up to me, and I don't know the answer to it. Are you kind of like, you have certain states that you practice in, or are there certain lawyers that can practice in all states? Or, I've seen some of those commercials where they say, yes, we're doing business in these states. And I don't know if that applies to all lawyers or if it's something you have to apply to different states for.
Yeah, so lawyers are licensed in specific states or areas, right? And that's generally where they're practicing. There are, and it gets mucky, right? So some states are a little more flexible about what lawyers who are barred outside their state can do. There's services that aren't technically legal services that are more on the consulting side that the bar cert doesn't matter for. So it does get a little murky. And, generally for litigation, you need someone in your state that has that state's license, or your attorney. Like if I've gone and I've litigated in Florida, I'm not a Florida lawyer. I had a Florida lawyer sponsor me and moved me as for that case. I became a Florida lawyer. So there's all sorts of fun rules and laws that go with what attorneys can do where.
Yeah, so I guess that's important too, is to know whether or not the individual that you're going with has the right to do what it is that you need them to do in the state that you're in.
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure. Very good. Well, Nancy, let's find out, what states do you work in, and how can we connect with you if we're looking to get some legal help with our businesses?
So I'm licensed in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. I do business consulting and come in and do basically systems analysis. I can do that all over the country, and I do. That's less legal, more consulting work. But my primary areas are DC, Maryland, and Virginia. Perfect.
Yeah, and how can they reach you?
The best way to reach me is through Facebook at Attorney Nancy Greene. And then Attorney Nancy Greene, if I can say my own name, is also the website. Yeah.
Very good. Well, I think this has been very informative. I appreciate you being on the show today, and look forward to helping some people get educated out there on some of those scary things that, man, it could just mess up your world if you're not doing it right. So I appreciate you coming on. Thanks, Nancy.
Well, thank you so much for having me on, Nicole. It was great spending time with you.
And for those of you out there that want to get some of the stuff off of your plate, remember, you can come to virtualateam.com and you can delegate this.